Dubious ones, welcome back for another Ultra Pro Wrestling video. So, on the official Ultra Pro Wrestling YouTube channel, they recently just dropped a little preview of what Patreon as well as Kickstarter supporters had already seen in a full 30-minute video of the Create an Arena here. So, they just give you a little glimpse, a little sneak peek here. Here's what some of the menu systems look like here. You can see like career, arcade, creative. Let's go back to that. Career, arcade. There's a shop, I guess. Well, I'm assuming this is where, not for like with real money. I'm assuming this is a shop like the SmackDown Mall in No Mercy, where you would buy, move sets, attire parts, stuff like that. And then you've got online. You've got extras. Extras, I'm actually assuming is where you would find DLC for characters like Matt Cardona or the Motor City Machine Guns, like the DLC in the roster. So here we've got wrestlers. So this is in the creative side. So this is where you can edit or create your own wrestlers. You can create your own promotions, as we're well aware, so that you can fully create a proper, WCW, ECW, WWF, WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, AEW, Mexico, whatever, CMMLL, all the any promotions you can think of. The whole idea behind this game is that they want you to be able to create everything, whether it's fictitious wrestling that you're making your own federations or real wrestling. They want you to have the full ability to create it with all the proper logos and everything else. For instance, you can see here the UPW Monday Blast logo. I don't think it's the greatest quality here. It kind of stands out from this cool looking arena that they did make here. But as you can see, wrestler promotions, you can also create your championships. So I'm assuming you can edit all the championships and make all the proper belts like you would in any other wrestling game. So you can make your Winged Eagle WWF title if you want, or the current day WWE Universal or World Heavyweight titles, current day AEW championships, TNA championships, all that stuff. You'll be able to create and edit your championships as you can in the modern day WWE games as well. Events here, you can create your own events. So this is kind of like a create a pay-per-view mode, I would say, where you can create, but it doesn't have to be a pay-per-view, but you can create an event, an entire event card. So say you're running a simulation federation online, if you've got your own eFed going and you want events with your roster of your friends and whoever's in the federation with you, you can create events and either have the AI run the matches to simulate them, because I believe you're able to tweak the AI a bit in this game as well. I'm not sure if you'll be able to do the full Fire Pro level of each created wrestler, because in Fire Pro you can fully go into each created wrestler and completely tweak their AI logic. So when they're fighting as a computer, whether it's a computer against computer or a computer against you or a human opponent, you can choose what moves, what percentage of the time they're going to go for this move early in a match, what percentage they're going to go for a strike, a grapple, this kind of grapple, the up A button grapple, the down A button grapple. Okay, is it time in this part of the match where you're a little more damaged? You can take an X button grapple. Like, you can literally tweak every single move in that game as how often they're going to use it, how often they'll go for a finisher, how often. You can tweak all that in the Fire Pro games. You've been able to do that since the Super Nintendo days, in fact. You could actually do that in Super Fire Pro Wrestling X Premium for the Super Nintendo back in 1996. And it's always been a huge part of the Fire Pro series, which is why people like it so much as a simulation game. It's very popular in the sim genre or a community for wrestling games for that reason. I know they are going to have AI logic and some sort of tuning, or at least they're supposed to, in Ultra Pro Wrestling, but I don't know if it's going to go nearly as in depth as the Fire Pro series, as these guys are more into the Aki and much more familiar with the Aki engine side of things than they are with the Fire Pro series. So I don't expect it to be nearly as in depth as that, but I do think it will be there so that you can tweak, your characters to act as if they are that character in real life. If you make a Steve Austin, a Roman Reigns, a John Cena, a Bill Goldberg, a Sting, or whoever it might be, they should be going for the right moves. Bret Hart should be going for that figure four around the ring post, or the stomps to the leg, and start weakening and working on the legs throughout a match before he goes for the sharpshooter. You know what I mean? So I do think there's going to be some AI tweaking that you'll be able to do. I'm not sure how in depth it will be. Don't quote me on it. I'm not 100% sure on that, because I believe this was something that was mentioned very early in development and haven't heard them touch too much upon it more recently. So we'll have to wait and see. But again, create events, very cool feature for whatever you're doing. Just making, a remake of WrestleMania 10 or a remake of the latest AEW pay per view. You know what I mean? The fact that you can create those events and have your entire roster arena set up perfectly because you'll be able to import all your own logos and stuff like that. Really looking forward to this feature. Um, Obviously, you can edit attires. So what I'm thinking here, I'm guessing this is create a wrestler. This might be editing a wrestler, or maybe it's just like it says, you're just editing the attires, whether it's in game or create a wrestlers. Because I don't think there's really much differential in the create a wrestlers or editing the real wrestlers. Editing the real wrestlers, you can fully customize them exactly the same way as you would a create a wrestler. So there isn't any real changes there. So that's a really good thing. That's the most creation, the most we've ever been able to do in a wrestling game before, is being able to fully customize every single wrestler, in-game wrestler or created wrestler. And for those who aren't familiar as well, I know I got some questions on this in some of my past videos. There isn't a cap for your creator wrestlers, the number of creator wrestler slots. It's not capped at 100. It's basically unlimited. It's as big as your hard drive space will go, right? So if you make a 2,000 wrestlers and then you run out of space on your Xbox or your PlayStation, then that's your cap. If you have multiple hard drives on a PC or something, or in a Series X or a PS5, you can just keep creating wrestlers until you fill it up. So there's not going to be a cap on the creator wrestlers, which I think is super awesome. Decals, I'm guessing this is the in-game paint tool. I could be wrong, but decals to me seems like a logo editor. Seems like this is where you would use the in-game paint tool to create things. Could be wrong. We don't really get it shown off here, but that's what I'm guessing what decals is. Now you can see him just going through the menu here. So he's going to show you off a little bit of the create an event. So this looks very cool because you can change the arena size, obviously, just like you can in the 2K series. You can change the ring. So there's multiple different rings. I believe they don't show it, I don't think, in this video, but in the more in-depth create an event or video that they sent out to Patreon subscribers and the Kickstarter supporters, there's an 18 by 18 or 16 by 16, like an indie size ring, or like WCW size ring, ECW size ring, and then there's the 20 by 20, the bigger ring, which is like the WWE, WWF ring. It is a 20 by 20, so they have two different sizes on just a regular squared ring. You also have the option of not an octagon, because octagon, literally the shape is copyrighted by UFC. They didn't know that when they originally were making the game, so they had to make it just a different shape. It couldn't be exactly an octagon, but you know what I mean. It's whether it's 6 sides or it's however many sides they pick. It's just going to be like an MMA style cage, so you can create an arena with that. They also have the 6-sided AAA and also, or whatever, the Mexican 6-sided ring that TNA also used for a time. Impact Wrestling, like TNA Impact Wrestling, they had the 6-sided ring for a while. So they do have that as an option for your create arena as well, so that you can properly create those old TNA arenas when they had the 6-sided ring or a Mexican promotion. So I think that's very cool that we're getting the 4 different options for rings. They haven't touched on whether we're going to be able to make arenas with multiple rings. For like a World War III, WCW's version of the Royal Rumble was called World War III, and they would have a three ring battle royal where they'd have, like, I don't know, 60 or not 60. I think it was either 60 or 90 man, whatever it was. It was a ridiculous amount of wrestlers. I think it was 60. They wanted to like double the Royal Rumble, make it seem bigger than the Royal Rumble because they were very petty back in those days. But yeah, it was a 3-ring pay-per-view. I always thought that was really cool. Obviously, for the War Games, they do the 2-ringed pay-per-views, which is pretty neat. So I don't know if they're going to be able to get that in at launch, but I know that is something that has been brought up and they've talked about before. So I'm guessing in the time when we get the 90s DLC for the storyline, which probably is going to be at least a year, I'm guessing at least a year out after launch. But when we do get that DLC for the single player campaign, that's when we're going to unlock a lot of new match types that came along when the promotions themselves got bigger, like FMW with death matches, ECW with a lot of hardcore matches and stuff that's unique to them. Obviously, Hell in a Cell, stuff like that came in the late 90s. You'll be unlocking those through the 90s career mode. And so that's when you'll unlock them in game. So you won't be able to, I don't think, have like maybe that 3 ring for the World War III, probably until that 90s section comes out, because that would be part of the WCW side of the 90s. Obviously, it's not going to be called WCW. As you can see, it's not called WWF. It's called Empire Wrestling Federation. You see the EWF here. So obviously, with copyright reasons, you can't call them WCW, WWE, and ECW, all that stuff. But you'll get the idea. Like, when you see that cage with a roof on it, you'll know it's a Hell in a Cell. When you get a 3-ring battle royal, you'll get that it's World War III kind of thing. So I think that's when we're going to get the multi-rings out of this. What I think is cool is he'll show you in a minute here. I'll fast forward to that. Where was it? So you can see down here is the attendance. So in this Nationwide Wrestling live from Georgia in the USA, the attendance is 5850. So depending on the venue size, there's, I believe, 3 sizes. So there's like super small for like indie, then there's your moderate size like arena show, and then there's like stadium, which is like WrestleMania or All In or something like that, right? So regardless, your attendance, you can set it like there's like a sliding percentage bar, so that you don't have to have a full arena. Like, if you're struggling on the indies, maybe you're only going to fill your arena 30% or 60%. So the attendance is actually a really interesting thing, is the fact that they have a slider so that you can book, say, a full arena, perhaps what All In's going to be this year with AEW in London this year in AEW. Maybe it's only going to be 60% full. Well, you can actually pick that for the events so that there's some empty seats in the arena and stuff like that. I thought that was such a neat touch, something we don't really see. We've never seen that before in a wrestling game. Here's an example. There's the 6-sided ring for you guys to see that I was talking about, which is very neat. I think actually here, this might be the smaller ring size. Let's see if it changes size when he switches over here, because this might be a 20 by 20. It's hard to see because the angle changed. See if we fast forward a little bit. Yeah, no. So he does show it off in the full 30-minute show, but I couldn't tell if that was a switching from the larger 4-sided ring to the smaller 4-sided one. But either way, it's a cool feature. I remember back in the 90s, like as a Rob Van Dam fan, he made, like, he would do the Van Terminator in ECW, but it was a smaller ring. And so when he first went to do it in the WWE, he wasn't sure if he could clear the distance, because it, instead of being, I think it was 16 by 16 or maybe 18 by 18, but I think ECW was like a 16 by 16 ring. And the WWE ones are like a 20 by 20. So there was a lot more distance he had to cover. So he wasn't sure if he could make it like the first time he was doing it. So I thought that was really interesting. So I wonder if they'll play with things like that with the characters in the game, where like you can jump, say, from the turnbuckle across the ring this way, but if you're in the 20 by 20, will you come up just a little bit short? I just wonder if they'll play with things like that. I think that'd be really interesting. But here, as you can see, very cool. You get the 6-sided ring. The changing in the colors here, that's just something that's just, they haven't gotten through all the, that's just like, little dev bug there. That's not actually supposed to be a thing where the ring, the thing changes as you change positions. But anyways, here you can see what New Japan Pro Wrestling kind of arena would kind of look like. You see the entrance ramp over there, a nice big stadium. Here it says attendance is 0, but I think this is one of the larger like stadium looking arenas. But like you can see, this looks very, very different. This must be this. I don't know if this is the template for all stadiums like this. And I do know you can change where the entrance ramp, I believe, is supposed to be, or the entrance way, and what kind of entrance way you want. I believe you can change that in the creator and arena settings with the staging and stuff like that. But very, very cool. This looks neat. I just wanted to get this out there for you. Oh, and it looks like maybe we'll see the change in size. Maybe it's the same size. No, those are the same size. They just changed the ring a bit. Okay. Cool. So I don't think there was too much more in this video. I'm just going to quickly run through here for you. Yeah, so here you can see just the info. You can change the name of what the event is, because again, this is create an event. So there's like info. You've got the theme of the pay-per-view. So I'm guessing here you could make it say like a Money in the Bank theme, I'm guessing, or like it's all hardcore matches, or the theme, like the main event is like maybe a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So it's like Hell in a Cell, those kinds of, I'm guessing that's what it means by theme. Like, what is the theme? Is it hardcore matches? Is it tag team themed? Whatever. I'm guessing that's what you would do here. Venue, obviously, you're picking what venue, where it's going to be. Staging, the ring, ringside. You can even choose what backstage area, because there's going to be multiple backstage areas in the game. So you can also choose what backstage areas you would like for your arena and for your show, which is really cool. And then other, I guess, just other details. I don't know what we would be getting in here. But as you can see in the info, you can name it. What kind of show is it? Is it a weekly TV show? Is it a pay-per-view? It's a pay-per-view. What's the date, location, attendance, all that fun. So you're going to be able to get a lot of customization from this game. Here, as you can see, this is their Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the project, for $6 a month, you'll get all of the you'll get this kind of info, where you get, this is because this was just a 5-minute preview of a larger 30-minute video. And that video actually went live to Kickstarter and Patreon subscribers, I think over a month ago now. So I had actually honestly thought I'd already made a video on the Created Arena, because I'd already seen this so long ago. But if you want to get, it's just the one thing about the Patreon stuff, everything that's locked behind there, we're not, as content creators, able to actually make any videos or anything on that stuff, for obvious reasons, because it would defeat the whole purpose of the Patreon. So we actually have to wait till they put out stuff like this to be able to get a video of this with this information out to you guys, to be able to show you some of this stuff. But I thought it fairly interesting. Wanted to make sure I gave you guys an update, as again, I'm going to be one of your main source for news as far as anything goes with Ultra Pro Wrestling. Anytime we get updates, once we find out when we're getting that 1v1 demo, you better believe I'm going to be playing that and testing the ever-loving S out of this game. But that's probably going to do it for this one. I don't think there's too much more I wanted to touch on. Maybe just take a look here just to see the different entrance, like, what would you call it? Staging that you can have, where you can create quite in-depth different kinds of staging to really get that unique feel for like older pay-per-views, like things like a Backlash, or like WCW's, Halloween Havoc. There used to be like a lot of elaborate staging. They don't do it so much in wrestling as much now as they used to. But as you can see here, this for the UPW Monday Blast Arena, it's got very unique staging from anything else we've seen in UPW so far. I think it looks great. I really like the ramp and the light up and everything else. But yeah, that the fact that you can really customize all that stuff really is going to make it so you can make it feel like you're playing in the WWF, in WCW, in ECW, in New Japan, wherever you want it to be, or if you want it to be your own fictitious federation, you'll have all the customization to be able to do that too. So this is really a creator's dream. This game is really, it's looking better and better as time goes on. I'm very excited for it. I really hope the developers, and I'm really hoping, and I don't think they will, do not rush this game out the door, because that first impression players get is going to be so important and hard to change, and it's going to be hard to win people back with awesome updates in the future, rather than just hitting it at launch, hitting your stride at launch. So I'm really hoping they take the time, work out the kinks, work out the bugs, get as many of these cool features and things in at launch as you can, so that the game really feels fleshed out and feels like a real value at the start, as opposed to 6 months later, 8 months later. Now we have these new features that have been added in for free. Now it feels like a fully fleshed out game. I want it to feel like a fully fleshed out game at launch. So that would be my one message here to Sam and the boys over there, is just don't rush things. Take your time. Cook as long as you need to make this game just chef's kiss at launch. Anyways, Dubious Ones, leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you have any questions in regards to anything with Ultra Pro Wrestling. I know pretty much all the information that's ever come out about this game. I know just about everything. I'm like an encyclopedia for this game because I'm really interested in it. So if you have any questions about any of the modes, anything about this game, I'll let you know to the best of my ability. So feel free, just leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. And yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel because right now I'm on that push towards my 1,000 subscribers. So every sub's going to count. We're about 600 more to go. So leave me a sub and we'll catch you in the next one. But that's it for this one. Deuces.